shift to third, and on that shift, just carnage. It sounded like you dropped like 15 mirrors like on the ground, just. So I'm looking for my first car. It had to be 4 doors, had to be rear-wheel drive, and I really loved the Supra. What could I afford at, actually, I was 15 years old when I got the car. The IS300. It was compact, light, cool looking, timeless, had those cool display and all that. It's like, okay, this is the one. I bought it at 15 years old, and I mean, just saved up like over the years, all the parties, because my family, were always like, hey, you're gonna want to save up for a car. So I did it. I listened to my brother's mistakes. I got the car and it was great. I lowered it. I put it on T37s in high school. It was great. My brother hand-me-downs. And it was an awesome car. Pretty much just getting it ready for power. And after, various trials and tribulations, I ended up getting a pretty sweet deal on a full 1JZ VVTi long block attached to an R154 with a Pexi Power FC on it, just a bunch of goodies. I had a single turbo and stuff. Old setup, I had to update it, but it was great. Paid $4,000 for it. Such a steal at the time. Now it's unheard of. So it's freshman year of college, the winter break. Brought the motor down to like a short block. Not that I really knew how everything was supposed to look even, but we wanted to look it over and familiarize ourselves with it. This was all a learning experience. The whole thing to me was I didn't want to pay a shop to do it because, one, I didn't have the money, and two, then I wouldn't be able to replicate it. And I wanted to be able to do this going forward. I wanted to be able to, have this skill. I got it together and it worked. Took the car out. It was, still wintertime and like January time in New York. Took the car on Seaford Oyster Bay and getting on. And I have me, my one buddy, and my two other buddies behind me. And one of my friends was like, hey, dude, like, there's a guy behind you filming right now. And I'm like, sick. I'm going to do a pull. So I downshift the second, and I just start my pull. Shift to third, and on that shift, just carnage. It sounded like you dropped like 15 mirrors like on the ground. Just, metal shards hitting everywhere. Immediately I'm like, the trans blew up. That's the cheaper side. Basically pull off to the side of the highway, call buddy, and he's like, hey man, move the car back. There's oil under it. It's not a good milkshake. Pulled it back, like, oh no. Spent 6 hours on the side of the highway. One truck came, you're too low. Next truck's like, okay, you can go. 30 degrees out, super cold. I had a good amount of time to ruminate. The reason that all happened was I didn't tune it. I got ahead of myself. I got really excited, and I put a giant intercooler on it, and I didn't compensate for fuel, and I leaned it out. One of the only ways you can just destroy a JZ, one of the first ways. Just tennis ball sized holes on each side of the block. That was blow up number one. And that brought me to spending the next semester in college, pretty sad. I spent pretty much every single weekend flying back, driving back, taking the train home, taking the bus home, from Buffalo to Long Island. Now, I went to school for engineering just because I wanted to be into cars some more. Came back and forth, sourced all the parts. I had a gentleman in Florida drive a short block, a 1JZ VVTi short block, up from Florida to New York because he had to go there anyway. And I ended up giving the block to my buddy's shop. He ended up, getting me a short block. I came back from college that spring and put it together. Yeah, got everything on it. Spent a little time. Honestly, it took me like 2 or 3 weeks, which was awesome. And it worked. We got it tuned. It made 440 wheel. And that was a setup that lasted for like 3-4 years almost. And it was great. I refined as I went. It wasn't always an uphill battle just because, I didn't start with a brand new block or anything like that. It was great for college. I got to know everything with it. I mean, I know that car like the back of my hand. I did plenty of track days in college. Toronto Motorsports Park was like an hour from school. So they did open lapping for like $80 Wednesdays and Fridays. So we would go all the time. We took it to the drag strip. We took it drifting. It was awesome. Over the next 3-4 years, I put about 40,000 miles on the car, which making 200 horsepower per liter. The car is badass. Like, it had AC. It had all the creature comforts. I mean, it was a Lexus. It was great. basically I'm scrolling through Instagram one day and I see this, post for Sorted hosted by Auto Tempest, and it's, Amelia, Matt Farah, and Rob Ferretti. I'm like, I love those guys. This is so cool. And it just sounds like me. You're looking for a home built race car, track car, daily, that you could drive to the track it all day and drive it home. I'm like, I say that all the time. That's my thing. I can do that. So, it took a few months to get like accepted on the show and all that. There was a few cars that dropped out. I get it. It's how it works. And I ended up getting the call, and that's a story for another day. After that, that was really where I decided to, well, I didn't decide. The car blew up again. I made it back from Sorted, 23 hours either way from New York to Florida. I got back and I had to put a new turbo on it, and basically in tuning, got back. We water jetted the head between the first and second cylinder, and just a milkshake. So it was a good amount of time to, again, ruminate and think about my next moves. And in that transition is when I ended up, getting a job opportunity in Georgia, and I moved from New York to Georgia. Now I left the car in New York. I took the motor with me. I drove my 4Runner down with my motor in a U-Haul, a bed, and just like a chair at a desk. An odd few things. I said, okay, I'm going to work on the motor while the car's in New York. We got a little bit of front end damage from Sorted, so I ended up sending the car to this like fiberglass artist in Jersey, and he did like this incredible job on the car. It came out amazing. Then I went to paint. So the car's getting pretty in New York while I was, getting together a badass motor. And so it's right after college, and I just finished. I spent actually left 6 months before college ended. I spent the last 6 months doing it online because COVID. Thankfully, I was able to do that. Working till 5, doing school till 10. And that worked out. And then I said, okay, this is the first time I'm making money, and now I'm working for a shop. Like, I can get shop discounts. That's kind of neat. So I at first was thinking about getting a 3.4 stroker from 2JZ short block. I wanted to do a 1.5J. I wanted to keep my 1J head because I love the way the 1J sounds. I know now that the 1J head, is the raspy part of it, whereas like the bottom end is interchangeable. So I was thinking about doing a 3.4 stroker. I didn't end up doing it just because it was $6,000 and my 1J short block. And to me, so I ended up getting a 2JZ GTE short block, brand new, for $3,000. I was like, I can get 2 of them for that. Now I'm shopping for the 4th motor to go in the car. But this time I set out to make this the car that I always dreamt it could be. High school me would be next to that, being like, this is everything I dreamed of. I got there. I ended up getting a brand new from Toyota 2JZ GT short block, and it was incredible just to see, what a brand new OEM 2J looks like. And, I have plenty of friends that have Supras with stock block making 1,000 horsepower for the past 10 years. So I said, I don't need a 3.4 stroker. Screw that. I'm gonna do what I wanted to set out to do. OEM plus, track it all day, drive it home. That's the goal. And I actually had money. I spent, all of my time, every bit of it, to putting together this motor with the help of a glorious few friends who have been amazing to me. It came together, and it was amazing looking. It looked just incredible on a stand. Like you could have just left it like that, honestly. And that was just the dream. The car looked perfect because it got back from New York, and it was, everything that I dreamed of again. So I've got all the pieces of the puzzle. It's just a Lego set at this point. I went to Dave Patterson's, and he let me do it in his garage. We filmed the entire series of how it came together, and literally just like a room, just piles of boxes of just stuff. And the entire thing, you can see that in my build series. It's everything I dreamed of. It made 600 wheel, or 591 wheel, and 533 wheel torque. And the difference between the 1J and the 2J, realistically, just bottom end wise, torque. And boy, does it feel good. Like down low, just like, because before, you go to first to second, you drop out of boost a little bit, and it's like, now it's whop, whop. It's an incredible experience. It makes all of the noises that I dreamt of. Like, I had driving it today. Every time I get in it, I almost cry. It's like, this is the best thing ever. At this point, like, I've got like a Gallardo's worth of money into it. And I wouldn't trade it for anything, you know, not for the Gallardo, not for a Porsche, because that car means everything to me. You know, it came together. It was my high school dream. I'll have other cars, and I'll get my other cars, but that's always going to stay with me because that is the culmination of everything that I dreamt of. And I made plenty of friends, so many friends I've made through that, plenty of jobs that I've gotten through that. I mean, that's the reason I'm at where I'm at. So yeah, I owe it all to that thing.
Whether you see the car in person or buy it sight unseen, when you buy a pre-owned car, you need to get an inspection done by a qualified professional. And the nationwide network of trained inspectors from the Lemon Squad is the best way to accomplish that. They give you a great deal and a great bit of information about any car you're looking at very quickly. They've been supporting VINwiki now for 2 years, and I use them personally because when I'm buying a car, I need to know the full story. So check them out now at the link in the description below and use the code VINwiki for 10% off, and never buy a used car without the Lemon Squad.